Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is May 30th, 2024, and it's reported that Hansi Flick is set to try out Mika Faye during the summer. Also, we have found out a special release clause within the release clause of Bernardo Silva. And finally, Kalvin Phillips has offered himself to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the Bet Us. Both links for kickback and Bet Us are down below in the description. Now let's begin with good news, because it's been reported that Marc has reached an agreement with Barcelona in order to extend his contract. Now, the Barca Athletic captain's contract was set to expire this summer, next month, June 30th. Barcelona did have the option to extend the contract by one more year unilaterally. However, they didn't want to do that. They wanted to renew the contract where both parties, agreed to extend the relationship. At first, it seemed like Marc did not want to extend his contract because he wasn't really getting minutes with the first team. But then I broke the news that Marc had changed his mind and had began negotiations. And well, now those negotiations have come to fruition, because it's reported that Barcelona have reached an agreement with Marc in order to extend his contract until 2027. Now, this is good news because Barcelona do have a big problem with their defensive midfielder position. Of course, Marc is a player that plays in that position. He's led Barca Athletic to the playoffs, promotion playoffs to the second division by playing in that position. He's someone who dominates that position pretty good at Barca Athletic, a player that's really good with the ball at his feet, but also very good defensively, very good at intercepting the ball, reading the field, reading the opposing team's plays, and very good at positioning. And now it seems that Barcelona have been able to extend the contract of the player despite him having offers from other first division teams like Valencia and even Granada. And now Marc has rejected those offers in order to stay in Barcelona and fight for his first spot. Now, of course, now that Xavi Hernandez is gone, we will have a completely blank slate as far as the players, because Hansi Flick will want to test all the players out during the summer the summer preseason. So we're gonna have to see whether Marc will be able to convince the German coach. Now, speaking of trying players out in the summer, it's reported that Hansi Flick is set to give Mika Faye the opportunity to prove himself in the summer. Now, Mika Faye has been doing absolutely phenomenally with Barca Athletic in the third division. He has proven himself to be an up-and-coming talent, a player with lots of potential to become one of the best center backs in Europe, which always baffled everyone why Xavi Hernandez did not use him. In fact, it's being reported that this is one of the many things that had disappointed the board of directors on why Xavi hadn't given Mika 5 minutes with the first team, especially because he is a talent currently in the academy or in Barca Athletic, and the board always likes the coach of the first team to kind of promote the young talent, because that, of course, increases their value. It shows Barcelona whether they're good enough for the first team or not. And if they're not, just by the mere getting minutes, they can be exposed to other teams, which can then increase their value and help Barcelona offload them. Well, don't worry, because it's reported that Hansi Flick is set to give Mika Faye an opportunity this summer to prove himself. So we'll see whether the defender will be able to convince the German coach to earn a spot on the first team. I really think he could, because he is kind of the profile of a defender that Hansi Flick likes to use. Someone who is strong defensively, but can also, push forward, because after all, Hansi Flick does like to use a pretty high line of defenders. So I think Mika Faye will be able to convince Flick. Of course, as always, I do like to hear you guys' opinions, so let me know down below. Do you think Mika Faye will be able to earn a spot on the first team under Flick? Let me know in the comment section. Now, more news, because we now have found out the special clause within Bernardo Silva's release clause, which could facilitate his arrival in Barcelona. Now, you know, when Bernardo Silva extended his contract with Manchester City until 2026, he reserved a clause in his contract worth around 58 million euros that would allow him to leave the English club because he wanted to come to Barcelona. And well, now it's been revealed that there's actually a special clause within that release clause that would allow whichever team signs him to pay that release clause in 3 installments worth 19 million euros. So if Barcelona wanted to sign Bernardo Silva, they would have to pay the release clause, and they could of course pay it in 3 installments, 19 million each, which would facilitate things for the club. And it's reported that Bernardo Silva did this on purpose in order to facilitate his way to Barcelona, because of course we know that the Portuguese midfielder was dying to come to the club. Now, this operation has cooled off ever since Xavi Hernandez was sacked, because it was Xavi Hernandez who wanted Bernardo Silva on the team. Hansi Flick, of course, he hasn't said anything, but it's reported that he's not really too keen on having Bernardo Silva, not because Bernardo Silva is not a good player or anything like that, but because Hansi Flick first wants to, you know, try out the team, see what the players that he has, and he's also more focused on the left wing. He would like a signing for the left wing versus a signing for the midfield. As far as my opinion, I've always said it very clear. I think Bernardo Silva is a world-class player. If he comes to Barcelona, I have no doubt that he would improve the squad. However, he is 30 years old, and paying 58 million euros for a 30-year-old who I'm pretty sure is going to have a pretty high salary. I don't think he's going to come to Barcelona to earn, you know, peanuts. I don't think it's a wise decision to spend all that money, because once you consider the salary, the release clause, it's an operation that's going to cost around 80-90 million euros. For a 30-year-old who's only going to come for 2-3 seasons, it doesn't make sense, especially because once he does turn 32-33, Barcelona are not going to be able to sell him for the same amount. So that's a loss of money right away as soon as you execute this operation. Anyway, speaking of midfielders, more specifically Manchester City midfielders, it's reported that Kalvin Phillips has offered his services to the club. Now, Kalvin Phillips was someone who offered himself to Barcelona during the winter transfer market, since Barcelona have been in the market for a defensive midfielder. Barcelona did consider this operation kind of as a low-cost operation. They were going to bring him out on loan for the second half of the season, allowing Barcelona, you know, to temporarily solve the problem of defensive midfielder until they can bring someone else in the summer. So he ended up going to West Ham, and now he is back in Manchester City. Of course, Manchester City don't count on him, so they do want to offload him. They prefer on a permanent basis for 30 million euros, but they're also open to another loan. And as such, Kalvin Phillips has offered himself once again to Barcelona. And of course, Barcelona are not considering this operation. This is just the player offering himself. I know when I've done news before about players offering themselves, people start getting mad. Like, why is Barcelona considering this guy? It's like, no, nobody's considering Kalvin Phillips. He simply has offered himself to the club. Of course, that doesn't mean much. Any player could offer themselves to the club. Technically, I could offer myself to Barcelona. It doesn't mean Barcelona are going to sign me. Anyways, that is all the news for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.